Germany and the UK say they hope to speed up the pace of rearmament, but can they spend the money fast enough? NATO leaders have committed to take spending on defence and security to 5% of GDP by 2035. Now, several say they're aiming to bring that forward as Europe as a whole rushes to spend roughly €800 billion in promised defence funding. After President Trump's bid to acquire Greenland, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told the Munich Security Conference that lines once crossed cannot be uncrossed, meaning the imperative to rearm is gathering pace. Well, Carsten Brzeski is Global Head of Macro ING Research. Carsten, promising cash for defence is one thing, actually manufacturing arms is another. How well is Europe doing so far at putting this money into action?
Europe is slightly warming up to this whole thing because in the past, indeed, we knew that all the defense spending that European countries did went for a large degree actually to countries outside of the EU, very often to the US. What we saw now last year is that many military companies started to increase their production capacities. And when you look at the German data, because I think Germany, together with Poland, is still leading in terms of defense spending in the European Union. So last year, we saw that also the first millions and billions from the German government reached the real economy, industrial orders in defense clearly going through the roof. So I think 2026 could be which defense spending and also defense production in Europe will surprise to the upside.
What does that mean for the wider economy?
Well, it gives hope that it supports this idea of a manufacturing upswing. Because I think that probably the multiplier that we talk so often about is probably larger than many experts thought a year ago. A year ago, the fiscal multiplier of defense spending was put at around 0.2%, so slow burner. But when you look at the latest developments, I would rather put it at 0.5, so meaning that it will be already a boost to the economy this year. The only problem is that when you look at the overall size of the defense industry in European industry, it is still relatively small. So yes, it will become a growth driver, but it's still far away from replacing, for example, the importance of the automotive industry.
If governments are trying to buy European, who's benefiting? Is it a small handful of the biggest names?
It is a handful of big names. The ones that actually did already very well in stock markets over the last 2 years, but there will be more. And we know from, for example, the American experience that if this investment commitment is for real. So the longer there is big spending in the defense industry will also become a source of innovation. And we'll see that there will be more spillovers from the defense industry on other parts of the economy. And if this happens, then we will see also smaller names, startups, scale-ups, benefiting from these billions that will be invested in the European defense industry.
Talks between Russia and Ukraine continue in Geneva today. Hopes of a peace deal aren't that high, but one thing that Ukraine wants crucially is EU membership. What does that mean for the EU economy? Can the bloc afford to incorporate it?
If we ever were to see Ukraine membership of the European Union, it would not be because of economic arguments, but clearly because of a security argument. And I think in this case, it is a matter of Europe simply making this money available and simply really letting Ukraine in if there is the political support for that. Bring back to this defense industry topic, there are, of course, also there is quite some innovation. There is some knowledge in the defense industry in Ukraine. So this could also clearly benefit other European in the defense industry.
What about the costs of reconstructing a post-war Ukraine? Is that even in theory an opportunity for European companies?
In theory, this is an opportunity. It could, in theory, clearly be a moment in which the traditional manufacturing sector that has been suffering so much over the last couple of years under too high energy prices, Chinese competition, could actually go through a short-lived period of rebound. But that's the theory. In practice, it would all depend on the details of any ceasefire peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, because obviously the more secure Ukraine will be the higher the likelihood is that all the Western companies will really engage fully in a reconstruction of Ukraine.
That was Carsten Brzeski of ING. Don't forget, you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.